Hey everyone, this is a video on just the posting process in the Chapter 4 mastery problem. So I didn't do the first step, the journalizing the transactions. I think everyone in here is pretty good with that. If you have any specific questions about that, let me know. But I'm just going to go through the posting process, and I'm probably going to do a couple videos too, so this isn't too long. I'm going to probably just do the posting for the cash general ledger at this point in time, and then I'll stop it because that looks like a lot of cash transactions. There's 15 of them. So I'll do that one and then stop it. And then let me just take a look at these other ones. Accounts receivable is short, supplies only 4 transactions, accounts payable is short, capital is short, drawing is short, sales 5 transactions. So let's see, I can probably do I could do one more video, or I might chop it up into 2 just so that it's not too long for you. Okay, so the posting is what we're going to do. So this part, this journal here on step 2 has already been completed because, well, I didn't complete it in the first step, but it's done here on the system. So I'm going to trust that it's correct. It should be. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the cash account, and I'm going to do this quickly. All right, so I'm going to put in the dates. I'm going to put all the dates in first and transfer all of these cash accounts or transactions as soon as I can. So there's one on the 1st, one on the 3rd, and one on the 5th. All right, so we'll do 3 and then 5. And then see what we have after the 5th. Nothing on the 6th, one on the 9th and the 11th. Okay, the 9th, 11th. Let's see what's after the 11th. That 13th, no, but this one on the 13th, yes. So 13th, 16th, and 18th. 13, 16, 18, and let's see what we have after the 18th. We have the 20th. We have 2 on the 20th. 2 on the 20th and 1 on the 25th. So let's do that. We have 2 on the 20th. Oops. 1 on the 25th. And then what are the next 4? So 1 on the 25th, we have 2 on the 27th and 2 on the 28th. Okay, and then we're done. All right, so almost done. I'm just getting my dates set up in here. All right, these are all coming from General Journal, page 1. So this is kind of annoying that you have to do this repeatedly. And if I could just use the arrow keys, that would be so much nicer, but we can't. G1, G1, oops, G1, 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 G1. Okay, this is a little bit repetitive, a little monotonous, probably not digging it right now. Neither am I. Okay. All right, so let's just do the transactions, and then we'll do the balance last. Okay, so we have an $11,000 debit and an 800 credit. So 11,000 debit, 800 credit. On the 5th, we have an 1,800 debit, and on the 9th, a 1,200 credit. So on the 5th, with $1,800 debit, 9th, 1,200 credit. All right, on the 11th, we have a $100 credit. On the 13th, we have an $860 debit. Okay, on the 16th, we have a 286 credit. 286. On the 18th, we have 280 credit. 280. 280. On the 20th, we have a $460 credit. Okay. On the second 20th, we have a $300 debit. Okay. On the 25th, we have a $300 credit on the 27th. The first 27th, we have a $160 credit. On the second 27th, we have a $4,200 debit. On the 28th, there is a $1,000 cash credit. And then the last one on the 28th is a $220 debit. Okay, so those are the numbers. We're going to figure out the balance now. So the debit, the first debit that we have is going to just carry over to the balance column, and you have an $11,000 debit to start. Let me grab my calculator. Okay. Oops. So 11,000, well, the first one's easy to figure out. So 11,000 debit minus 800. So you have a $10,200 debit. Okay, but you have a debit transaction, so you're going to add 1,800 to that, and that's 12,000. All right, then you're going to subtract 1,200, and that's 10,800. And you're going to subtract 100, and that's 10,700. Then you're going to add 860, excuse me, 11,560. You're going to subtract 286, so 11,274. The balance still. You're going to subtract 280, 10,994. You're going to subtract 460, 10,534. You're going to add 300, so you have 10,834. You're going to subtract 300, so you're back to 10,534. You're going to subtract 160, and that's 10,374. You're going to add 4,200, 14,574. Subtract 1,000, so you have 13,574. And you're going to add in 220. So plus 220 is 13,794. 13,794. Okay. So hopefully I did my math correctly. So the last thing you have to do is you have to make sure you have to go back up to the journal and post the account number 110 next to every cash transaction. So in the post reference column, next to every cash transaction, make sure you put the account number there. So we have 510. I'm sorry, 110. 110 next to cash on the first line, 110 on next to cash on the fourth line. Okay, everywhere you had a cash transaction, you're going to enter 110 in that post reference column. Okay, and actually, I was going to do a couple more videos and finish this, but you probably don't need it. This one is the longest ledger that you have to post to. And if you understand this, if you understand the process of everything I'm doing right now, you should be able to get the other ones easily. Okay, so that one's finished. Maybe what I'll do instead of, so I'm going to close this cash account since that one's posted. And let me just take a look at, let's do sales, because sales is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 transactions. So let's do the sales account, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so on February 3rd, no, I'm sorry, 5th, sales we're doing, right? Yes, February 5th, you have a credit of $1,800 for sales, so February 5th. So let's do that. Let's open up sales, and we're going to do February 5th, and G1, and it is a $1,800 credit, and then just carry that over to the balance column. So you're going to have a credit balance now for this account. All right, let me just make sure that that is 1,800. Yes. All right, and then on the 6th, you have a credit of 560. So on the 6th, You have a credit of 560. G1 again. Let's just get all the transactions in here, and then we'll do the balance at the end. On the 9th, there's nothing with sales until we get down to the 13th, and there's an 860 credit. So we're going to do the 13th, and that is an 860 credit, right? And then after the 13th, we have nothing for sales until you get to the 27th, and you have a credit of 4,200. So the 27th, and that's a credit of 4,200. Okay, that's G1. And then we have one last sales transaction, and that is on the 28th, and it's a $220 credit. So you want to put the 28th in here, $220 credit. And now we can add everything up, okay? So you initially had a $1,800 credit balance. You want to add in 560, and you have a balance now of 2,360. Okay, add 860 to that, 3,220. Add 4,200 to that, 7,420. And add 220 to that, and you have 7,640. All right, and that's done. So last step, remember you have to take the account number. So in this case, it's 410. You're going to go back up to the journal, and everywhere you saw sales as a transaction, you can put 410 account number in the post-reference column. So you have 410 there, 410 right here. Let's see, 410 on the 13th, another 410 on the 27th, another 410 on the 28th. Okay, so let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sales transactions, and I think that's what we posted, right? Yes. All right, so just keep in mind, I'm going to open up, so the sales is done and cash is done. The other ones you should be able to get. Let me just open up the cash though and just remind you. Whatever you put in here in the general ledger for the first account, for the first transaction, just carry that over to the balance columns, okay? If it's a debit balance, anything after that, if it's a debit transaction, if it's a debit and a debit, you're going to add. If it's a debit balance, but it's a credit transaction, you're going to subtract, okay? Now, if it's a credit balance and the transaction is a credit, you're going to add them. If it's a credit balance and the transaction is a debit, you're going to subtract them. All right, so when it's debit, you add, or when it's credit, you add. But if it's debit balance, credit transaction, you subtract. Or if it's credit balance, debit transaction, you subtract. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're doing the running balance. And that's it. I'm going to stop talking now. Good luck.